Okay, Ami fans, welcome back to once again another episode of the Dirty Old Podcast with myself, Coops, Rousey, Gav, and a brand new guest for tonight, Danny. How are we doing, Danny?
Grand, thanks.
Good to hear. Obviously, you know, Gavin has a different background every single week, and I think it's pretty apt to what we're desperately in need of in the last couple of performances. So we've done away with Rousey's head. We've gone now for a big giant arrow pointing to Gav's head.
It's my birthday Saturday, so I'm hoping to have better Rousey's head dead.
Hey, let's keep
Good
it
start,
PG.
Gav. Good start.
I suppose, to be fair, Gav sent a proposed agenda across, and I thought it was pretty spot on. So this agenda, if we miss anything out, it's Gav's fault. But I think he's got pretty much most angles covered. So let's start with the Wimbledon game. I'm going to just throw it out there. Wimbledon game. Talk to me. Who wants to go?
Danny? Go on, Dan. We'll let the newbie go first. Go on, Dan. What's your thoughts? Were you there?
Yeah, I've got a season ticket, and yeah, there's a lot to say. I mean, I've made a few notes and stuff, so I'll try not to be, too expansive on it. But that was the first time for me that I felt he was really going in circles, Neil Wood. I felt he went back to the same Stockport County, Bradford City, which were the low points for me. They were the absolute. I was just losing interest. I know it's early in the season to lose interest, but I felt Wimbledon. I was livid with it. I know it was, it wasn't. Maybe everybody's shared the same thing, but I really felt it was just repeating the same mistakes, trying the same things, running into brick walls, and I was livid. I keep saying it, but that was my initial take. Got more to say, but it might get worked in as you all go around your thoughts.
Yeah. I think for me it was just uninspiring. It wasn't. There just wasn't a lot going on. Again, the theme from previous games. Lots of the ball. Was checking the stats before on Sky Sports, which I thought was quite funny. Apparently, we managed to muster 11 shots in that game. But it said 3 were on target and 4 were off target. So God knows where the other 4 have gone. So still in orbit or something. But yeah, I just thought that was quite a funny stat. 11 shots, 3 on, 4 off. But yeah, much of a muchness. Good on the ball. I think we look, again, I've said it before, we look comfortable, but it's comfortable going in the wrong direction. And then when we get in the final third, there's just not a lot happening. And I think, I'm not going to defend Neil Wood, but I don't really know what else he can do. It must be highlighted because everybody's talking to him about it in pre and post match interviews about the lack of shots on goal and the amount of games now we've gone without a win and that. But he's got to be sick of answering the question. And I personally, like I said, I'm not defending him, but I don't really know what else he can do. I think in terms of his comments, and I know we're going to come on his post-match interviews, but he's not. I wouldn't disagree with a lot of what he says. We do work the ball well when we've got it, from back to that final third. And then for me, it's down to the players on the pitch to like we mentioned in previous podcasts, create something a bit magical or get that shot on target. But yeah, I think that was the word of the game. It was just uninspiring for me. There wasn't a lot happening at all. And yeah, just again, I think I said it previously. I don't know what the answer is because he's trying. He's bringing strikers on. I think at the end of, I'm going to get ahead of myself here. But at the end of that Peterborough game, we had 5 attacking players on the pitch. So yeah, I don't know. I know Gav's going to probably berate him, but and the lads. But like I said, I personally, from a Neil Wood perspective, I don't know what else he can do. He must be working on it. He must be trying it in training. Working on that attacking in the final third. But again, for me, it's down to the lads on the pitch, and I think they need to be called out a little bit in the podcast, if I'm being honest.
Gav, I mean, I know you've done this before. You'll want to pick up on the post-match interviews. Give us your thoughts, Gav.
Well, not sure I'm about following what Rousey wants me to follow. Thinks about following to, because what I did was, well, to be honest, Peterborough highlights a lot more of the issues what Wood can do something for. So I wiped a Wimbledon match out in my head. I can't remember it now. I just wiped it because it was just same old rubbish.
Yeah.
And instead, what I did is I got the just a little bit of what he said to the media team. It was highlighted on Salford's Twitter. So it was his post-match comments, or one of his comments, I assume. And I won't talk about that. I'm not talking about the game, to be honest. It's I've stick myself with a brick over the head if I want. It'd be much more fun. But what he said, or part of what he said was, I do think the last 3 games have been a step in the right direction, especially our own form. It's a point in the right direction, but going in the right direction performance-wise as well. What do you think of that, lads?
I wouldn't agree
what
with
do you
that.
honestly think of that comment?
No, yeah, I wouldn't agree with that comment about the own form and a point in the right direction. Because for me,
because you wanted the point.
Yeah, when you're one of the favourites supposedly for promotion, any points dropped at home, it is bad because you should, in essence, be turning teams over at home. But yeah, I've watched both the Wimbledon and the Peterborough interviews because I knew obviously it was coming up in the agenda. And like I said, yeah, I don't agree with that. And I think he's got to remain positive because he can't, like I've said previously, he can't come out and woe me. He can't do that. He's not the type of manager to come out and red flag his players. Do you know what I mean? And pick players out. We've seen that he does protect them. But I think it's wearing thin with him now, the attacking questions, because there's only so many times he can say, look, the performances on the pitch is not what I'm seeing in training. The lads are doing everything I ask of them in training. That's what he said
after Wednesday.
Yeah, because obviously the confidence is there in training, and they must be, they're slotting the ball away and they must be doing everything right. But he's saying that they're not portraying that in the game when it matters. And I think that's as drastic as Neil Wood gets in terms of digging his players out. He knows where the problems are, and like I said, from keeper to defence to midfield, it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's quick, but we're good and comfortable on the ball. And like I said, I have actually incorporations of switch of play, but in that attacking third, it's really, really poor. And I think he's getting very, very tired of it. I don't agree with that, a point in the right direction, but I think that from a manager's point of view, you can't be negative. And I think that's the only thing you can say. We've got a point, which is good, but I wouldn't agree with the last 3 games that we're going in the right direction, because again, the shots on target stat would suggest otherwise.
It seems to me that he doesn't know what to do to make it right. Because, like I said, I was about to save some of this for after a Peterborough one. But if we're doing so much in training and it's so different on the pitch, what actually are we doing in training? Is training right? Are we training against the local school kids? Because if our players are performing and scoring and doing wonderful things in training, on the pitch, they look terrible with final third. So get the training right, maybe. Get the tactics right. Get the setup right. And I'll go into this on the Peterborough one about the setup and what's have you. I'm sorry, but you defended him too much there. There's lots he can do. He's the bloody manager. And there's nothing he can do. He needs to walk away. And if he just keeps blurting a lot of nice words out to us just to be positive, then I don't think it's good enough.
What do you think, Danny?
For me, I've been wondering who the post-match comments are for. Are they for us? Are they for whoever they for? Are they for the owners? Oh, it's all right, everybody, we're okay, And then I just thought, actually, no, I think it's for the players, because as you mentioned there, if he goes for the players will down tools and it's over. So I think he's protecting an already underconfident group of players from from real criticism. And I think on a psychological note, anytime someone repeats something 3 times, talking about right direction, step in the right direction, point in the right direction, he did a similar thing with Peterborough, talking about confidence isn't at rock bottom. He said that about 3 times. So when someone's saying something repeatedly, they're actually admitting something that they're not aware of, I think. That's what I'm reading into it. I'm going a bit deep there, but yeah, I actually don't think the post-match comments are for who they should be, which is us.
Yeah, I think it ruffled a lot of feathers because obviously, you've got a good selection of fans that will go to the away games, travel and keep trying to give them a 12 man there, and and the support, and then at home, just at the point where we're in the process of trying to build that fan base. We saw it at the end when fans came back in from after COVID or pre-COVID. We started building it up. The fan base. You look at the West End; it was filling up, and I always use that as a barometer to sort of gauge newness in terms of fans coming in. And then obviously when we came back, that dropped off, and we started to get it back after the first 6-7 games. And I think it's just getting to the point again where people are turning up, and it is that kind of first half of last season with Gary Bowyer. It was kind of, I remember I was sat there for most games, and I was never vocal. I mean, I'm quite vocal as a fan on the sideline, but I was lost for words, and I feel like I'm getting back into that routine of I just can't be bothered saying anything anymore. What? It's just disappointing because we had such a good start. The season's not finished with, and we're still. Let's not forget, we're still in 2 or 3 points off playoffs. It's not the end of the world. But considering how bad we played, the fact that I'm very surprised we're 3 points outside the playoffs or whatever it is. It just seems like
are we not less than that? I think we're only
we're 6 outside the top 3.
Yeah. But we're only a point off the playoffs, aren't we? I think.
It might be more. It might be a couple of 3.
Is it? Sorry.
I think it's 2 or 3. But we can go on it. I think, like Danny, I think you're right in terms of it's probably not for the fans, but they're putting these videos out on their platform, which is supposed to be that part of that fan engagement. And when you're hearing your manager, yeah, I get it. He's trying to keep confidence players, but we as fans, we need a bit of confidence as well. And I think when we're watching those performances and we're not creating anything, and he's going, it's a point in the right direction. All right, it's a point better than none, but we should be winning games. We haven't won a game in the last wrote it here. I don't think we've
at home since August.
We've only scored 1 goal in the last 5 games. So it needs to be an improvement. And I know we'll talk Carlisle, but again, it's probably not the best of games to go into. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I stand on it. We talked before the Wimbledon game about obviously Daka's got he got his cup start, then he made his league debut, and we was debating whether he was going to start against Wimbledon. He did start against Wimbledon. However, and again, it's not digging anybody out. And we spoke. I know Gav, you said quite a bit on Daka's last week. Was it a case we didn't get the ball to him, or was he not making the right runs or coming for the ball, because he looked quite ineffective on the pitch?
Again, let's be honest. Chuck anyone up front.
Yeah.
I think they're not that of a fair go. So however much stick and however much confidence I was trying to give him last week, he's getting thrown in at the wrong time to a certain extent.
Yeah,
and that was one of the ones where I think he should be sent out and get the game experience and get a year and a half under his belt, come back and his technique and stuff's better. But yeah, I think Chuck Rousey up front, he might only get 2 goals instead of like 8.
Hey, no, come on, that'll be half of our top scorer, and he don't even play for the club anymore. Yeah, I think you're right, Gav. I think we spoke about it last time about the different people playing up front, and it seems to be changing every other game. And I think Neil was just trying to search for somebody who can at least pop the ball in back at net and hopefully build on from that. Because at the moment, there's nobody we can put. you know, I believe Haaland, you know, Ashton United might pip us to a loan signing of Haaland, but, you know, even he might struggle to score a goal at the moment.
Could I pop something in at this point just about the strikers? Because, again, I've watched quite a few of the podcasts recently, and, you know, people have talked about Hendry, why is he not playing, etc. And just something that I picked up on is that before he got dropped, if you can call it that, or rotated out and Daka's got brought in, there were quite a few times when, because he was our front man, lead striker up on his own, he was kind of leading a counter attack and he was too slow to get away. And I saw a few times where, because he was so slow, he had to turn back and pass it back, and the move broke down. And then immediately the game after I started seeing that, that's when he brought Bolton in. So I could totally understand why you'd think, get somebody quick there. It's not a striker. You know, everybody knows Bolton's not a striker, but I thought a bit of pace to actually really break teams down when we actually do break, which is very, very rare. I understand it's not worked very well. But I look at Hendry and I think he's not particularly tall. He's not particularly big, not particularly fast. He's good at link-up play, as I saw a little bit against Peterborough, but I don't really know where he fits as a striker. That kind of confuses me. I don't know what you all think on that.
I mean, I think, you know, if we, depending on what formation we played, we used to play kind of like we have at some point we've played with sort of a three in behind the striker. We've had a striker, and call it whatever formation you want, but we've had a striker in there, you know, whoever it may be, and then McElhenney's been in there, and even go back to the times when, like when we had Danny Lloyd, you know, Danny Lloyd would play that position behind the striker really well, but he never played it, and we always played him on the left. But you could almost see like he isn't going to get us 20 goals. He's not that kind of striker. I think we need to try and find someone like that. But, you know, he could maybe potentially play in that hole where, you know, he's in the perfect spot, because he's already coming deep for the ball. If he's already in that spot anyway, he's not going to have to come as deep. And obviously, like you say, Dan, if he's good, if his quality is a link-up play, that would be the perfect place to you know, get the ball into him as a sort of like a target man, but not as a striker, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't think we play to score goals, to be honest. So don't worry about it. Our tactics are doing really good.
He's doing his job.
Yeah. Don't score, or else you're in trouble.
I don't know whether it was just safeguarding him or he's picked one of a not, but obviously Nati went off in the Wimbledon game at half time.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't even in the squad against Peterborough. So I mean, I haven't heard anything.
He did a post-match interview. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've missed that one. No.
Yeah, he did a post-match interview, and I just think he was struggling fitness-wise. So I think he got brought off. I think he said that he was running on sort of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think he's 100%, because I think he said he was a bit worried pre-kickoff, but once he was into it, he was playing. But I just think that's a fitness thing. I think they was protecting him a little bit, and I think he was blowing a little bit at half time, so they probably brought him off. I don't think he's injured anyway. I don't touch wood anyway, but I don't think he is.
Well, and to be fair, the 45 minutes that he played, albeit right back, which again, I was like, we spoke about this last week about going back to what was working in the first 6 games when you had Vassell and Nate. I mean, it became irrelevant anyway because he went off at half time, so it would have disrupted the team anyhow. But I do hope eventually he's going to make. I know we're struggling for a right back since Shepherd's been out. We've not really got any depth in that area.
No.
Again, we've played Bolton there, but he's not a defensive player. So I think in January, I think obviously while we're on that subject, you know, Sheps has had a sort of a setback 2 weeks ago. Obviously, if you've watched his latest vlog, it was kind of dated around the 4th of November. I think he was talking. So, you know, nearly 2 weeks ago, he obviously had a little tweak on his hamstring again. So it's set him back. Because I think he was saying it was his first training session back with the lads. And on the first day back, he's obviously overstretched his tendon or something, so he's been set back, which is a shame.
Well,
so I think
we've thrown stupid money at people. I assume we've got a few of them in the team now, like a striker we've got up front. At people, and you got Phil Bardsley, just who lives in Salford, who hasn't got a team. I believe the only team who's offered him a contract is Sunderland, but he doesn't want to go up there because his kids are in Salford. Why don't we not just give him a short term, 2-3 months, give him the 5 to 7 grand, whatever it is, and see if he'll come and just fill that gap, because we're desperate. And he's available and he lives down the road.
Phil Bardsley's not a striker though, is he?
Right back.
Sorry, right back. I thought you said striker then.
No, we're talking about right back.
Oh, apologies. I heard it went in and it translated and it came out.
To be quite honest, I think he'd probably score if he chucked him up front.
Probably do, yeah, he'd probably do all right up front.
But as a right back, like you said, we've been chucking anyone in there, and we haven't really had consistency since August in the right back as well, because Jason Law got injured. So even like someone like him, why not just throw a few grand at him just for a couple of months and just get a bit of consistency on that back line? Well, and to be honest, on our right hand side, it would improve our right hand side a lot.
Well, I think, Gav, I think you should go to the match on Saturday, straight to the director's box and stuff, and go and seek out Casper and Karen and say, look, you know, I could be his agent, I might not be, but I heard on the grapevine he's looking for a club.
There's a big problem, big issue with your master plan there. I'll probably be pissed. And they won't listen to me.
all the better then, all the better.
Yeah.
Right, I think we've kind of ticked off Wimbledon somewhat there. We've covered a lot of the points. You know, obviously with Neil Wood and highlighting the striker issues. But one good thing that's coming out of all this is, and to be fair, he deserves plaudits because he's had a lot of stick in terms of Tom King. You know, I think really in the last sort of 4, 5, 6 games, he's made some absolutely top draw saves, and he did another one at Wimbledon. He made a good one in the first half at Peterborough. It wasn't like one for the cameras, but you know, he had to get down really quick and stop it with one hand, and he's making some good saves. So Tom King, is he keep that number 1 shirt or what?
Yeah, no, he's playing well. I think if he can, like we've said, if he could sort his kicking out, he'd probably be a League One goalkeeper. Because shot stopping, no danger at all. Don't get me wrong, I think positionally he gets caught out every now and then, but what keeper doesn't? You know, I think they've all got mistakes in them at this level, and unfortunately, when you make a mistake in that position, it tends to lead to a goal. So, no, he's doing all right. And again, I think we touched on it either last week or the week before. I think they've evidenced or highlighted his kicking and tried to change it a little bit, because he's not lumping it forward as much now. He's chipping it out to his right and left hand side quite a bit more, playing it a little bit more softly. But no, shot stopping wise, I've got no issues with him. I think he's a good keeper, and he got in the team of the week, so fair play to him. Danny,
we've obviously the three of us have kind of had conversation with Tom King on here on various occasions. What's your take on Tom King this season so far?
Yeah, I remember him getting beat to possibly his near post at one point, and that was a bit embarrassing. His kicking is, as you say, it's subpar. It reminds me a little bit of do you remember a goalkeeper for Oldham? Was it Paul Gerrard years ago? He was getting on the fringe of the England team, but his kicking was diabolical. But for me, if you're looking at what the problems are, he's not in the top 5.
No,
I don't think so. I don't spend too much time thinking about him, to be fair.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a bit less than solid, a little bit shaky at times, and he might not be the kind of goalie that a manager like Neil Wood, a head coach like Neil Wood wants, who's a possession-based, keep the ball, and knock it around. But he's got enough about him to easily justify his place for me.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
No, go on, Gav.
So again, I'm not about picking my players this week. I'm bigging them up. It's our mate Neil Wood who's getting the pressure off me, and I think you just mentioned a good point there, Danny, where he said he's maybe not exactly a Neil Wood sort of player as in possession based. And my caller is Neil Wood. Look what you're getting on that pitch. Grow some balls and give him the captaincy. I think Tom King should get the captaincy for one big reason. He's the player on the pitch who has the most enthusiasm, who's shouting the orders, he's organising his defence, he's organising on corners. He's the one giving the vocals on the. Neil Wood stands on the bench and doesn't give vocals to the player. Torre, what he's given us the last 7 years, whatever it is fantastic. But he's not a very vocal sort of G'ing up captain. His performances are good. Eastham, again, grow some balls and give Tom King a captain on Saturday, and I'll give you a plaudits next week, Neil Woods. I won't say anything bad about you.
If that does happen, Gav, we can say he definitely does.
He definitely watches the podcast.
He definitely.
I don't think he would have thought about that. But from what I see, because like I say, normally when you stand behind the goal, I hear him all the time, and he's even to the extent when it's going towards like the corner flag when it's in playing, he's like, "Don't foul, don't foul, don't foul." He's shouting orders to the players to like keep him on feet, stay on your feet, and he's like, he's if he was. Centre defence, centre midfield, he'd be a dream captain. And there's no reason why a keeper can't be a captain because there's quite a few of them.
To be fair, I've only noticed, and I could be wrong, but it's just how I think back, is I only think he's really been vocal this season. I don't remember him being vocal last season.
Yeah, he was.
No, he does. He does. He shouts quite a bit. I think we see it a bit more though. Martin being behind him a lot, in the West Ham.
Yeah. That's it.
You can actually hear what he's saying as well, and he doesn't shut up. He is vocal, and even he holds his hands up when he makes mistakes. He and there's been enough of them, but like I said, he's playing well, and I would agree with Dan. He's not in the list of problems at the minute, which is good. If you're not talking about him, that's a good thing. So I know we are now, but in a positive light.
Just on that point, if I could, because I sit in the, I think it's the north. So it was only last night I really heard Tom King particularly, because I was looking and thinking who's bollocking everybody, and it was Tom King, because a lot of times the person who's getting bollocked is normally Leek, and it's normally by Vassell. But I didn't notice that last night. Vassell was very quiet, and it was all King directing traffic. So yeah, it's absolutely correct. But I've never really noticed it before.
Yeah, he's done it. He's done it all the time since he's been here. Like I said, it's one of the first things I noticed about him when he was first. I was like, bloody hell, he's like you say, he's really just shouting orders all the time, and like I said, all positive stuff. All like I guess every defender, every midfielder knows that they've got someone behind him like who's watching the back to a certain extent as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he's not flown over to Qatar. I don't know if he's on like reserve or anything like that. So let's hope all the Wales keepers keep fit, because we need to keep him here going into the new year. But obviously New Year, World Cup's over, but certainly over the next 3-4 weeks. Vassell made his 50th appearance as well. So he's made the 50 club which is a great achievement. I mean, I know you can do that in kind of like near enough a season as 46 games, isn't it? But I think time's flown by. Obviously, when he played last season, he was a great player for us last season. I'm glad we signed him. And we've obviously been unlucky this season having different partners next to him. He's had Eastham, he's had different right backs. If he's playing that right centre back, he's had a different right back throughout the season. He's having different centre back partnerships. But well done. I mean, there's nothing more we can say about that.
I was going to say, just to highlight that, you're right. He's had different partners, but again, he's never been spoke about in a negative. The back four haven't again actually been a major problem this season for us. I mean, we are starting to see a couple of goals in now, compared to the first 5 or 6 fixtures, but I don't think they've ever been a major problem. 1 or 2 in that back four have been an issue, and we've spoke about them, but
1 or 2 out of 3.
Yeah, but Vassell's always been solid, and,
definitely,
and fair play to him for the 50 club.
And congratulations to Odin Bailey for the birth of his daughter as well. So congratulations, Odin. I know he's watching. He texts me all the time, so I can't wait for the next episode. And then the big
is it time to feed baby's milk? Remind him.
Yeah.
Well, see, he could be listening to this pod while he's doing night feeds. You see, it's perfect listening material. to say how bad Neil would it. No, I mean, the big news is the big premiere of the latest series of the Class of '92 show on Sunday. Yep. Who's watching it?
We're back, everyone. Everyone's watching it.
If I remember.
Dude, on a serious note, though, what do we actually think of the programme, where it is now?
Fake.
I think if we don't go up, I genuinely think if we don't go up or get in the playoffs this season, there won't be another. I think that needs to happen because it's the same storyline in it every. Well, the last two anyway have been like, 4 promotions in 5 seasons, and this is, we've got to the Football League, and then all of a sudden it's just flatlined and plateaued because we've never managed to even get in the playoffs. So I genuinely do think if we don't get in and around the playoffs this season, there won't be another. But I'm glad it's back. I enjoy it. They're good, and like I said, it's good for every club to have that. I know obviously a lot of the lower league clubs are following suit, like the Wrexham documentary and stuff like that, and they're good to see. It's good to see what's going on behind the scenes and what's happening at your club a little bit. But personally, I don't think there will be another if we don't get the playoffs.
Danny, what do you think about it? Because I personally think it can. It is my opinion, I suppose, but I'd imagine you can see both sides of the benefit of the program and not so the benefits. I sometimes see it as is it a distraction to some of the players? Is it more of a burden on them to sort of see the cameras round? They've got to do more. They've got to do better. Do they know that the cameras are there?
It's linked to the documentary. Just I'd say it was this January, wasn't it, when we brought in like Smith, Watson, Stephen Kelly, still one of my favourites. I was a big fan.
Yeah, good player, Stephen Kelly.
I think he just ended up at Livingston, which I'm sure we could have probably got him. But anyway, I just that for me was like a real push from the ownership to say, because I think we just had a bit of a spark of form just before that, because we were looking poor. And then we had a bit of a spark of form before we brought those in. And it was like, we're going to go for it now. And, well, looking at it, it didn't work. And some of those players like Smith are hanging around. And it's just, it seems a bit of an unnecessary buy. But going back to the documentary, from what I hear, again, I pick up things on a message board. And they're representing things in an out of order way to make it more televisually exciting, making it more of a narrative rather than actual reality. I mean, there was one quote that, again, I've only read, I've not heard, that I think if he wasn't getting to the playoffs but Bowyer, it was over. And it's just, well, I think that kind of pressure, if Bowyer is aware of that and the players are aware of that pressure, I know Gary Neville stepped away now, then that can be crippling, that pressure, I think. So think, well, we have to do it, and that can stress people out where they don't perform.
I think, though, Dan, but just to quickly intervene there, that pressure should be there, mate, in my opinion. But for the size of the club now, with the ownership and the money that we've got and the money that we've spent, the playoffs for League Two is an absolute minimum for me. And if the game of football is about winning trophies and getting promoted. So if you're not doing that, then your job should be under the spotlight and you should be in the firing line. That pressure should always be there. But I can understand maybe the comment about the documentary being a little bit of an hindrance and a reminder to the managers that cameras are here, it's got to everything's got to be positive and it's got to be this and it's got to be that. But I think that the pressure of the role and from a manager's point of view, that should be there anyway, that, mate, in my opinion, anyway.
You collectively mentioned, I think it was in one of the last pods, about our wage bill and our transfer budget. So in terms of what should be achieved with what we've got, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I kind of I do like these programs, like you got the All or Nothing programs, and it's a good insight to see. Say like Mikel Arteta or Pep Guardiola, seeing them kind of doing their thing in the background that you just never see unless you're playing for him. And I think that them kind of, and the Sunderland ones where you kind of understand in the background. Sometimes as a fan, you build up your own narrative of what's going on in the background, but actually you could be further from the truth. And when you see things, you kind of go. It's like the Class of '92 programs. Once you've got a bit of a timeline of when that's from, and you think back and go, right, so that's why that was happening, and the decisions were being made here, and it gives you then you kind of go, all right, I can understand it. But I think to your point, Rousey, if there's not a different outcome this time round this season, it's kind of going, just knock it on the head now.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's just running its course, isn't it? So, but yeah, from a fan's point of view, I'm glad it's back, and it's I think they're good. I think they're interested.
Perfect. Well, we'll get the popcorn out and we'll have a little look, see what's happening.
October versus.
Yeah.
Well, before we go into this Saturday's game, I know we've kind of briefly touched it upon the Peterborough game in and out of different discussions, but it not disappointing in terms of the result, in terms of Peterborough won and they've gone through to the next round. I think the disappointing is the kind of the performance and the manner of a 3-0 defeat, considering that actually the first half, I thought, watching the first half, I know we conceded in the first half, but we had a good opening 10 or 15 minutes. We were sticking it to him a little bit I thought, we've got a chance here. But then after 15 minutes, Peterborough then settled into the game, settled into it, and it wasn't creating glorious chances, but you could see that there's putting the pressure on.
They were building pressure, weren't they?
And it was going to be a difficult 60 minutes from there on. So I don't know, guys, throw it over to you. 3-0 defeat. Is it what we was expecting, or?
It was excellent. I high-fived the steward. I did last night. I high-fived the steward. I went, yes. It was the best night I've ever had. The toilets got cleaned. The toilets are cleaned.
You should have had that as your background, Gav.
I've got a picture of it.
Clean your idol.
Yeah, but the toilets have been cleaned. I was like high-fiving stewards. Oh, fantastic night, mate.
I think it was expected for me. We was worried about it in the first game, to be fair, and I think the way the game panned out was how I felt it was going to go at Peterborough, to be fair. But no, we did. We started well, and Danny mentioned it earlier about the speed up front and Callum Wilson not having pace. I think we had a pretty good opportunity where Wilson, have you heard me? Hendry, sorry.
I know,
yeah.
I thought we signed a new striker.
Sorry, I'm going back 3 years, where Hendry nabbed the ball off one of their defenders and played it back to Matty London, then tried to make a run. And Lund's head fell off and played a really poor ball, in my opinion, over the top. But Hendry just didn't have the pace to get there. But I thought Lund was poor last night for me. I thought he had one of his worst games for us. He had some really, really good chances, and his shooting was woeful. His passing was bad. But I actually felt that the team did all he could. Do you know what? If that makes sense against a League One side, I thought I agree with you. The first 10 minutes we played well. Peterborough did come into it. To be fair to Neil Wood, he made some changes at half time, and I thought Odin Bailey was a good change to make. I thought he played very well again in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half. But as soon as that second goal goes in, it just probably just deflates you, doesn't it? Because it is an uphill battle then. But yeah. It was expected. I thought we did all right against them in the first leg. Did all right against them for spells of this leg, but they were just clinical. The quality up front shown every time we made a mistake. They just punished us.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, because I've heard a few of you mention something that I picked up on, that the start of halves, first 10-15 minutes, start of the game, first 10-15 minutes, especially, we were, I would say, almost really good for the first 10-15 minutes of the second half. I thought I could see Ibu actually really trying to get him past people.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, it's almost like when Neil Wood, as like the daddy figure, tells them what to do and it's fresh in their mind, they come out for 10-15 minutes and they can do it. And then for the last half an hour of each half, they seem to just go back into something else. Like it just seems to drain out of them and they go back into their old habits of, because one of the things that as a massive bugbear of mine, and I find it so interesting that that the defence is seen as not an issue. In terms of the way they defend, I get that. But for me, the fact that Leek, Vassell and Eastham can't really hit anything more accurate than about a 15-yard pass. I think that, and it is so slow, that for me is a real problem. And teams don't press us anymore, I don't believe. I think it's something Neil Wood, I know we're coming to the post-match, but he's referred to teams coming sitting now. And that's why we don't get any space. We can't get out because they're not sat like deep in their own half. They sat about the halfway line waiting for us to pass it around, get 60% possession and do nothing with it. So I do point the finger, not at the players themselves because they're doing the best, but we have a collection of 3 non-passing centre halves, apart from Nati, with Neil Wood who's trying to play possession football. That's oil and water for me.
Can I put in there 1 second about that comment as well? You're saying, so they're saying they're sitting back.
Yeah.
We have 3 centre-backs and 4 centre midfielders. That's 7 players passing it side to side in front of them.
Yeah.
How are we about to score? How are we about to score? And where we're defending Neil Wood about his tactics, about how we're playing, it's not just for players. With players, I think, as you noticed, Graham Alexander said 4 years ago, he said, I'm having to coach League 2 players here. League 2 players don't take in what you want them to take in over time. It's hard work, very hard work. And it's good that you mentioned that maybe they are listening to him at half time and whatsoever and taking it on, because I'm not very pleased with Neil Wood. It is certain, but the fact that when you said that, I thought, actually, they are listening to him because they seem to have a bit of emphasis. But the rest of it, I might pick on Neil Wood for not the players, because I think the players are great because I've given them enough slack
Yeah, I think, I mean, we mentioned it on the pod last week about that same point what Danny's just raised in terms of we're playing with 3 centre halves, and between 3 of them, they're not a ball playing defender. They're a defender, like an old fashioned defender, kind of up in the air. Vassell, rough and ready, will take on the Incredible Hulk. He loves a grapple. He loves a good feisty battle with the striker. But this is what we're saying about Nate. When in the first 6 games, coincidence or not, when he was playing at the back, the ball was being played forward into the centre midfielders. He was finding a pass into our player. And you knew that. You saw him when he played right back against Wimbledon. He just made passing effortless, and you knew as soon as he got the ball, he ain't going to lose it. He's not going to do a straight pass. I'm not saying he never would, but you just know he's safe. Whereas when the ball goes to Vassell, not too bad, but maybe more Eastham or Leek. I think Leek has got a little bit better, and I think that's just come with confidence. But when the ball goes there, you kind of go, just give it back to King. But then King's like, oh, so we haven't really got anybody who can play out from the back in the way that you should be playing out from the back.
Carries it as well. You see, I think that's so important. He can move with it. Vassell, no. Leek, no. Eastham can't carry it, so that's why people can stand off him, because they know they're not going to get dribbled around. Whereas Nati is a ball player and a ball carrier for me. Yeah,
and that's why Nati needs to slip back into a centre half, not the right back. And I think we need to stop. I get, when we said this last week again, away from home, playing a top 6 team. Yeah, play with 3 centre halves. And I'm all for. Yeah, we'll break when we can. We'll try and have some attempts. But fundamentally, we're setting up so we don't lose the game. That's football. I mean, that's tactics. And you still have an emphasis of trying to break forward. But when you're at home, we've just got this in our head now. We have to play with 3 centre halves because Toure needs to play higher up, and we need whoever's going to be the right back to play higher up. Well, they can still get forward, but actually, if they don't get forward and we just have a flat back four and they just beat defenders, that means we've got an extra attacking player up front, in midfield or as a winger. We've still got wingers and wide players. Use them as the wide players, and take another defender out of the game and give us more going forward. That's just my thoughts anyway.
Like I've got a few notes on the interview afterwards, but firstly, like I might have put them in them, but the one thing which I noticed massive last night, and it happens a lot, but I get saying the Peterborough one was massive. I hate the three at the back, full stop. But so we got three at the back, yeah, and Peterborough, I would say a decent League One team. They've been around football. The players are quite well experienced. So we're going, or Neil Wood must have gone, right, what we need to do, lads, we need to make some space because we'll play football. So we'd have a right back, let's say right back, right midfielder, left back, both with white on the boots, both spreading out too wide. So in the middle of the pitch, we got 2 players, 3 players at the most. So we're passing it to a right back, passing it to a left back, back, whatever. But when a right back or when a right midfielder gets it on the line, where's he going? Is he going around or is he going that way? Well, he can't go that way because the lines are. So a defender knows you just got to hold him up, block him up. He's not running in. We should have squares the pitch in, have the players in the middle third of the pitch, sort of as in the lines, and then there's room to run around, room to have the overlap. We don't even overlap because our players are on the bloody lines. And that is tactics. That is Neil Wood saying we've got to stretch. So we stretch it, and a percentage game, football's a percentage game, whatever you do. And our percentage game is, if we send it to a wing, we might get a couple of touches, 100% chance of that. If we put it in the middle, we've only got 2 players, 1 player. If we put it up front, we're lucky we got 1. So a percentage of us doing something decent, doing something attacking and creative is actually really, really low. The percentage of it going out of play is really high. And if you guys in the north stand and the south stand could just step back a bit further so the players can run around the edge of a pitch and get back on it, we might have a chance. But that is really, really terrible tactician. We should, as for Peterborough, they would have gone last night. Bloody hell, this was easy tonight. All we had to do is sit back, watch them, they'll pass it to her, keep our structure, and then when we break, we'll go and score. I bet they were laughing on the coach on the way home. We made it so easy for them. We've got to go 4 at the back, 3 in midfield, 3 up front, or the 4-4-2, whichever one. And we've got to be compact. We've got to be compact. We've got to go, right, we are better than you. We're about to fight better than you. We're about to play better than you. We're about to move better than you. If you break past us because we've got an extra 2 players going forward, try it. Our defenders are about to give their best. We're not giving it the chance to actually get the ball to Endry, to be up front. Endry can be slow as he wants because that ball's going nowhere near him anyway. And if we was 20 yards up front, he doesn't have to be fast. If he was fast, he'd probably be in the crowd in the West Ham with us. He has to be fast because we're so deep. Our midfielders are so deep. Our wingers are so wide. He has to be deep. He has to be nowhere near the net. And that was a massive, massive thing, which was highlighted for me last night. It was like the amount of white which must have been on the boots of our players. And at one time, many a time, sorry, both the left and the right were both wide. Both. It was
a lot more. That was a lot more in the first half, I think.
That's easy to defend.
Yeah.
Peterborough laughing. If you do that against any team, you're laughing. And that's schoolboy ever. That's Neil Wood. Look at his book saying, make space, spread, put your players wide, and there's loads of space. Let's do real football now. Let's see what's on the pitch. Actually, get compact. Have a war. Have a fight. Be better than them. Play around them. Have space to run around them.
Yeah.
And I'm not ranting. I'm going into my list now, and I'm carrying on talking. Right. So Neil Wood, what was said in the interview: 5 games, no goals. Last win at home August. Again, I've just mentioned it. The setup, the white lines, and he said 4 attacking players we had on at the end of a match. Doing what? If we're not actually moving up the field as a team and being there and creating chances, what's he doing? We're getting opportunities. What to pass? But, and I expect this on Saturday because Neil Wood personally said this in the interview. He said we had a back 4 second half. We had the higher press with a back 4. we wanted to stop them with possession. So we noticed that we actually played better in the second half with before, and we was playing further up the park.
I was just going to say that, Gav. If you'd have been quiet a bit before.
On Saturday, then his football rule book it needs thrown out of the window, because, like I said, that was a bit one of the only times I listened to his interview, and he said, "Oh, something which I thought, actually, well done. You noticed that. That's actually a really good thing." But if he goes back to 3 at Saturday because Easton buddy made him a breakfast or something, then whatever. And he said, right, Rousey, what I'm about to say now. What did he say? And I went, what?
Go on.
It didn't feel like a 3-0 win, defeat. Has he not looked at my stats? They had 18 shots and 6 on target. It didn't feel like a 3-0 defeat.
Right, mute him now.
Oh, mute me. Oh.
How long's this list?
I'm throwing it. I've got exhausted. I just, when we go and we're talking about this, and the fact that every week, every game, we're just doing the same shit. Last night, we were playing against a better team, so I get that. But it just made it more obvious that the manager's just using his player book and going, right, we need to do this, we need to do that. Look on the field. Look what you're doing. Think of something different. Let's see what worked for us. 4 at the back worked for us the biggest season. Why did it work for us? Because we was further up the pitch. Because our wingers, Luke Bolton, was playing in line with the edge of the 18-yard box at the beginning of the season. Now he's touching the lines. Why change it? Why are we playing so wide? Why don't we not say to our players, right, let's go out. If you get beat 7-6, I'm happy. But let's not come back in with a 0-0 draw or 1-0 defeat because, we thought it was okay just passing it side to side, or my boots are white, boss. Is that all right? Can I get my sandwich now? I need an all day.
You do.
Have you guys noticed, because we're talking about pressing, I've got a feeling first few games this season was that the heat wave maybe, when and we had to get bottles of water at the game and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, we're not pressing high, we're not pressing with any intensity because it's too hot. And I thought, clever Neil Wood, fair enough. But we've never pressed high. We've never, and I mean under him, we never pressed high. We never pressed with urgency. Whether we're playing 3-4-3, 3-3-3-1, whatever you want to call these things that he's doing, or 4-2-3-1, he doesn't seem to. He may be saying and he did say it in the interview. He absolutely did say that playing as a back 4 allows us to press higher, but I don't think that's what he wants to do because he's not chosen to do it all season. He allows the centre halves, like other teams allow ours, to just play about with it, and we sit like a basketball team on the halfway line, just waiting for them to come at us. And I don't think that's going to change.
I've got a bit of breath. Just sorry, I don't like butting in. Anthony can tell you that. I never butt in. But our first 6 games of the season, we were playing 20 yards out of the field. So pressing as like Barcelona used to, etc. Maybe not, but we were 20 yards further up. So by pressing, I think we was closer to them. So I think we was the first 6 games. To be honest, I think we was.
Okay, no, not Liverpool, not gegenpressing, but
yeah. We was 20 yards closer.
Yeah, but again, it all comes back to, I think you take Narty out. I said before, he carries the ball, he can pass, he can break the lines with the pass. Without that threat, it's like everything's gone to rot, and it's really disappointing. And I've. People you've talked about Galbraith and stuff and how fitting or not fitting he is, but I can understand by having someone who's got midfield qualities. They're able to kind of work in tight spaces, which none of our back 3 centre halves can do. I get all that, and I look at it and I feel sorry for Neil Wood at times. I know that's not going to be necessarily popular. I feel sorry in the sense that he seems to be trying to patch up a boat that's got so many holes. It's like, well, we've got a hole here because Law's out or Shep's out. We need to fill it. How are we going to do that? Well, he doesn't seem to have the jigsaw puzzle pieces to actually do it. He's not done an incredible job, but he showed me quite a lot early in the season to make me think he can do good things as a coach.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think we've said it before, the injuries, have ripped us a new one. They have. The start of the season, those first 6 games, we were talking about how good we were playing and the fact that we might go all season undefeated and stuff like that. It was that surprising. Like we were doing well. But I agree with you. I think Nate was unbelievable those first few games, and he was playing really good balls. But also as well, McElhaney was, for me, was outstanding, and he was turning on a pivot as soon as he got the ball, turn, run at their back four and creating something. And I think that's what Hendry's been missing. I don't think Galbraith's quite that player where he can turn, run at defenders, make them panic, and play a killer ball. And I think that was what we were doing. A lot of our threat wasn't from width. And even when it was, we were slagging them off because there was only one in the box, if you remember. When we were getting it down the line and we were playing it in, there was only Hendry or Smith or whoever was playing there. Where we was getting success was cleaning up and doing our job at the back. Nate playing it out to McElhaney or Bolton or whoever, and them two running at defenders and causing a bit of panic. And I think that's what we have really been missing. Is that type of player to turn on a pivot. But I don't think we'll play a back three on Saturday. I'll be surprised if we do, because of what he said. He did mention it about us being a lot better with a back four. We've said it before, probably a number of times. But one thing I did sort of pick up again from that post-match interview was I actually enjoyed it a bit more because Will didn't do it. Not that I don't like Will, but no, I think Will's questions just drone a little bit because they've got to be positive because they're for the club. I think it was one of the ITV pundits that actually interviewed him, and he was kind of calling him out on the shots on target and the run of games without a win and stuff like that. And I think, like I said earlier, I think it's actually wearing thin with Neil Wood now. And if it continues to happen, which I hope it doesn't, you'll probably find he will start calling players out because he's got to, because otherwise he's going to end up losing his job. But he mentioned something about us not having clinical, ruthless nature. And that's what I mean. We're not turning, we're not running at defenders, we're not being ruthless. We're not, it's again, like we've said, it's side to side and backwards and nicer. For me, that's a dig at him. It's like, come on, lads. This is what we need to do to win games. I think he knows where we need to improve. But it's like Danny said earlier, he's trying to patch up too many holes and put players in where they're not probably comfortable or don't want to play or are not very good at playing. So
I know this is League Two football. Yeah, we're a League Two club. Neil Wood is methodology, his understanding of the game, his tactical understanding of the game will be way above us. Way above us, yeah. But he's not at Manchester United with kids who have come through and been taught this, that, and other. He's got League Two football players who don't necessarily understand what he's saying.
That's where he needs help, Gav. He needs help from his coaching team.
But it's his problem. He's got to learn.
Yeah.
If he's taken a job on at Salford City, if he cannot learn to be a League Two manager, why do you think this league, you can beat anyone this league? It's up and down. The players are League Two players. Remind you, however good he is tactically, he needs to understand players at this level, League Two football, League One football even. His knowledge and stuff, like I say, I have a go at him quite a lot, and I'm saying, why have players got this? His knowledge and tactical ability is way above what I'll ever understand or know, way above. But what I see on a football pitch is what I know, and I'll say how I see it. And I think he's absolutely terrible for this club, and he's not good enough, and he should be sacked. Not because his knowledge of his ability at coaching a lad how to play football. It's because coaching a League Two football team with League Two standard players, League One Tom King, because you're my friend now, it's different. And I think however much you guys defend him, I can't go there and go, but I agree with that. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I used to pull Danny Lloyd a lot, yeah? The reason I pulled Danny Lloyd, because he was much better than our team, but he never showed it. He never showed it once. And I pulled him and I kept saying, oh, Danny Lloyd, because I knew he was better. I knew he was a million times better, but he never showed it. Same with Neil Wood. He's much, much more knowledgeable than me. I'll ever be about football. But at League Two football, it doesn't seem as though he knows what he's. He knows what he's doing. Doesn't seem as though it's clicking into him what's been happening this last 15 games. He's got to see what's been happening and go, I need to change things. I can't just do what I was doing at Manchester United. I can't just do what I would do if, let's say, if Brighton came for him there and took him on, he'd probably go and do a good job at a Premier League Football Club coaching, because them players have been coached through a certain way over their careers. In League Two, you've probably been kicked out by Man United or Liverpool or City at 12-year-olds.
Can I just add to that, Gav?
Sorry, yeah, go on, I'll shut up.
No, it's something I think, and again, it's not to defend him, it's just that maybe factor that the owner should have thought of before employing him, that he's used to, he's not used to results being the most important thing, he's used to development of players being the most important.
Yeah. Good point.
I was on a walk today and I just thought it clicked. I thought, oh wow, yeah, okay, so there's that aspect of it. And a quick one about Arsenal, that Arteta was so close to the sack with a team that couldn't play. They physically couldn't do, people like Lacazette, Aubameyang, they couldn't play the way he wanted to play. Cleared them all out, all gone. Load of young players, hungry, Gabriel Jesus, etc. Different world. So again, this it kind of seemed like an excuse that Neil Wood isn't at fault. It definitely is in some way, but the players that he is working with do not suit his template at all, it seems, from the back.
Neil Wood is a fantastic coach, and I think we all know that. He wouldn't have got the job. He wouldn't have been at Manchester United. Whether you dress it in the Arsenal or the Arteta, League Two football isn't about change. We're not about to have the luxury of Arteta and get all these fantastic young football players in. We're about to, whoever we get, and we've learnt this the last four years of being in the league, because we spent a lot of money, and you just get shit or players who have used to playing their own way and like that. No disrespect to the players. This is who they are.
I honestly think injuries have done us no favours. I think I know every team has that problem. I get it, but with a fit full team, I think we're in the playoffs comfortably. If not the automatics,
but you don't have a fit full team for the season. So
I know, and it's about adapting. And I agree with you. He hasn't done it, and he hasn't changed much because it's been very, very possession based with very, very low shots on target or shots in general. But like I said, I do think he's trying to change it, but he's just not got the play. He's just not got the players to do it. Gav, that's
tweaks, I think.
You can't just change your players full stop. It's League Two. You better have injuries. You better have this quality players. And there's nothing more than I want than at the end of the season me to be going getting a selfie with him because he's done that good and he's turned it around. Nothing more than what I want. Nothing more. And like I say, I'm not putting a blame game on him. I'm just saying this is how it is. This is how League Two football is. This is where we're at. And if we need to defend our manager at League Two level, then I think we're sort of like just grasping to get promoted. They might even start putting promotion in cornflakes boxes, and we'll see when we can find one.
To be fair, I mean, he's had, collectively in terms of the manager, the Karen, Casper, Nicky Boat, Giggs, and all the owners. Talking about this season, they've had the summer, they brought players in, and this is where you kind of need to stick with the manager you bring in. If you trust in him from the beginning, and if it does, hopefully it'll work out. But Neil was brought in players that he thinks are going to do a job. He's had unlucky with injuries. Come January, we know, I don't think we can rely on Sheps either way, whether Sheps comes back or not.
We need a right back. We need a right back and a striker, 100%. 100%. Probably, Gav. Probably.
And so there'll be little tweaks in January. There'll be 2 or 3 players coming in January, and then he'll reevaluate whether that's then going to League One or it's retaining into League Two next season, and give him another window. Where then I think once you've had a summer, a winter transfer, and another summer, and you go into your second season, there's no excuses. Then that's kind of your team. You've nurtured it for a year. You know where it failed last time, where you can improve. at the moment, he's probably waiting to come round for January. There might be one or two players that he's probably thinking they're just not good enough. Some of the loanees, you know, Tollage and stuff, just send them back. They're not. For their sake more than our sake. They're not getting game time. I don't think just putting him in for one game. Look at Tollage. He's played about 90 minutes in total. You know, it's not fair on him. It's not fair on us either. You know, either bring in a couple of loan signings who are, and I'd rather play the starting 11 is all our players, because why increase the value on somebody else? But if we do need 2 or 3, we can get some really good quality loan players coming in who are going to make a massive difference and really push us up the table. I'm for that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, what happens in January. But yeah, we have been unlucky. Like Rousey said, and Gav said, all teams go through injury stages, but I think we've really had our kind of season full in a short period of time. You know, so whilst we're all
competitive as well, does it not happen every season? Is it because these are the players we go for? Are these the ones who'll come just for a payday?
Well,
and again, that's not Neil Wood's fault. And as you said, I think he's Neil Wood. Every night before he goes to bed, he prays to the Lord and he said, "Dear Lord, bring January 1st tomorrow. Please be tomorrow. Please." I think he's desperate, and I genuinely think he will be desperate for the January transfer window. And I would expect him to bring in loan kids.
You're like a fly on the wall, Gav, because you hear all these conversations, don't you?
No, I'm denying everything.
Very quickly,
put kettle on.
Let's move on to Carlisle, because just conscious of obviously the length of the pod. Carlisle 8th, we're 9th. Carlisle a point ahead. I think probably this is probably the first time in the season. Go back to what we said before. We're not a million miles away, but this will be the first time. If we do lose, there will be a gap between us and the playoffs for the first time. So I know there's a little gap, but I think then you're talking maybe 5 or 6 points, and you know, it starts growing. So you know, last five games for Carlisle, they've scored 10 goals. Only lost 1 in the last 5 away games, so you know, they've travel well. Whereas Salford at home lost 3, drew 2, and we've only scored 1 in the last 5 against Grimsby. And the head-to-head is pretty straightforward. We've won 1, Carlisle won 2, we drew 2. But if you look at where our current top scorer is Watson, with Asante obviously having 4 before moving to West Brom. Christian Dennis for Carlisle's on 9, so that's kind of the difference. He probably makes up our top 3, and just in one person. So, yeah, I'm going to let you guys sort of sum the game up for what you're expecting, but I hope we play 4 at the back. I think it's going to be a tough game. Just purely in the way that we're playing. I hope I'm completely wrong, but I've got to base it upon how I think we're playing or not playing at the moment. But hopefully it'll turn around. Over to you guys. What do you think? Are we going to see? Put it this way. Simple question. Are we going to win? Are we going to win on Saturday?
I can never have us losing on a prediction. Again, it's been frustrating. I think I said it before. It's got to turn. It's got to change. We've had our bad spell. I'm not saying Wimbledon was a positive result, but at least we didn't get beat. So I'm going to go with it's going to be a close game, but I think we're going to nick it. But I am going to be scruffy and say it's a 1-0.
1-0 Rousey. Okay. Daniel, what do you think? Just a win. Any win.
I don't see that, I'm afraid. No, I just think I was kind of slightly referring to it before, that although it doesn't seem like a massive amount has changed, there's probably been 1 or 2 tweaks, like, you know, Galbraith moved from midfield to right back, or as against Peterborough, did you see Easton playing up on like right midfield?
He pushed him up, didn't he, a bit?
So, like an overlapping centre back. I mean, it was at Sheffield United. I'm not quite sure, But these kind of little bizarre gimmicky tweaks, he seems to do a few of those in each game, and I can't see that that's good for people feeling settled. He may play a bit of a higher press if he plays a back four on the weekend, but again, another change. So anytime he makes a change, you'll have to be drilling it in training all week, and then if he rips that plan up and then he drills something else the week after or the midweek, I just think the players will be scrambled.
Yeah.
Again, I do respect him. I do think he's good, but I think that he's reacted a lot. He's not been in front of it. He's had to react a lot. Injuries is to do with it. I understand. So I think if they played a high press that was absolutely in the face and physical, like it was a little bit for the first 10, 15 minutes against Peterborough, I'd like to see that. But expecting night and day change in a few days is going to be dead difficult.
Okay, Gav, what do you think?
So I'm a new man now. I've had my rant. I've got it out. I feel a lot better. So I'm pro Neil Wood now. I actually love him. I think he's about. I've Tom King as captain on Saturday. We're about to play 4 at the back. I don't think it'll be 4-4-2. I think he'll go 4-3-3. And I think it's a banker. Last week I said it was banker. This week's a banker. And plain and simple, it's about to be 4-0 because we need a goal of the month competition.
Oh dear.
It's going to be shots on target of the month, isn't it?
4-0. 4-0.
I mean, I was kind of saying when we was at the Wimbledon game, and I was speaking to somebody outside of me, and I said, all we need, I think, it's a bit of a hoodoo now, isn't it? You know, we go home, we're not winning. That's kind of how, if you look at the results, that's how it's played out. You know, we can't buy a win at the moment, and I just hope sometimes you just need something to happen that just reignites the spark again, doesn't it? And I think I generally do think, and it's wishful thinking, of course, but I just think if we can get a win on Saturday, and I said it again for Wimbledon and it didn't happen, but I just think we need a win. If we can win at home and just break that, and the fans are there and they're clapping the boys off the pitch because they've won a game, they've put in a good performance. All the players are jumping all over each other like they're celebrating an FA Cup final because they've broke that hoodoo and they've won. I think it will just give us a bit more confidence. I think they're all lacking confidence.
Yeah.
And they know when they're walking on the pitch at Peninsula at home in front of the home fans, and you're not scoring goals and you're not winning games, they know the pressure. They know the fans. They know what the fans are thinking. So I just think if we can win, you know, we're going to win a game at some point, I'm sure, at home this season. You know, forward. So yeah. Prediction wise, well, I want us to win, but I don't think we will this time. Well, I hope we do after what I've just said. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Simple.
Brilliant. All the lads are going to be jumping all over each other, and we're all going to be clapping them off for a 1-1 draw.
I'm only saying what they should do if they win.
Right. So am I the only one that's predicted a win?
No, I have 4-0.
Oh, yeah, but you're...
No, Neil was turning it around. Sorry, me and Neil, we're turning our friendship around now. 4-0.
Right, guys. I think we better wrap it up there. To be fair, I think
I've always got one thing at the end. I've got one thing at the end.
Go on.
Right. So this is on your head as well, please, Martin. Any chance we can do a taste test next week with Papa John's for pizza? If you can give him a call. Because it's Papa John's Trophy week after, is it Bradford?
Bradford.
Right, okay.
If they was to send us all pizza to our houses, then we could do a taste test live.
Email them, Martin. Get on it. I'm up for a bit of pizza.
You know, if they kind of go, yeah, okay, how many subscribers have you got? 33. How's that sound?
No, for us to taste test.
Right,
yeah, don't worry about them.
It's worth a try, Gav. I'm all for a bit of free pizza. So, and to be fair, I've got on my background there. That's the Papa John's trophy there.
That's what reminded me.
You know, so I'm trying my best.
Half a mile away from me.
To be fair, I think I know I've obviously read a lot of Danny's posts on the forum. So, and if you've not been on the forum, Gav Rousey, there's a lot of detail on there as well for every game.
Is that the actual forum?
Yeah. The fans forum.
Yeah.
And that's why
the forum fans forum.
The forum. And that's why I think, Dan, it's been a pleasure having you on, Danny. I think definitely bring you on again, because you kind of bring something a little bit different to the pod in terms of your views and where you think. So which is to the benefit of the pod as well. So
someone else for me to butt into as well.
Gav, Rousey, Danny, cheers, chaps.
Danny, Rousey, Martin.
I'll probably see you all at the game at some point. Gav, are you in the West End, are you still?
Yes.
So Rousey, I might see you knocking about.
Well, you're coming Kersal Club afterwards, aren't you? Fine.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to square it away first, won't I?
Sort it with.
We'll talk about it off the pod. Guys, thanks very much. Let's fingers crossed for 3 points on Saturday, and we'll catch up next week.
Christian Slaters.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Take care.